I'm Edie Lush, and I'm here in the Hub Pavilion in Davos. Very pleased to be joined by Jonathan Reckford, CEO of Habitat for Humanity International. Thanks very much for coming along.
Thanks for having me.
We've been having a lot of discussions about microfinance, and I know that housing microfinance is one of the things that you're here at Davos to talk about. Can you tell me a little bit about some of the discussions you've been having and what you're interested in?
Well, one of the things we see is there is almost no access to any kind of a home loan for 90 to 95% of the people in the developing world. So the sort of truism of if you need the money, you can't get the loan. So what we're trying to do is expand what is a broadly proven model of microfinance and help the industry move towards making micro mortgages or very small home improvement loans to help the poor improve their own housing. And then Habitat's coming alongside and providing construction technical assistance through our building centers to help the families actually do the work and provide the training. So this is a way of reaching much lower income families than we can with a whole house model.
Can you tell me a story about somebody who's received one of these loans and how you might have changed their life?
So we were building with a family in Uganda. Take us to Africa. This is a family that informal income, but has income, but only a few dollars a day. Too low to be able to qualify. Even for a typical house for us would only cost about $2,000 in Uganda. But what they could afford was a $300 loan that allowed them to put a decent roof on their home. And so with a microfinance partner, we came in and worked with them. And over about a 15-month cycle, they paid off that loan. Then we came in and made a second loan, and they were able to put a cement floor. And we find is a cement floor versus a dirt floor has a massive health impact on the children in the family because it keeps them both from respiratory illness as well as helps them from insect-borne and malarial illness as well. And then the third stage in this family was they were able then, after paying off that loan, take a third loan and put in a second room so that the girls could have a separate space from the boys, which has all sorts of both social and privacy issues. And then they use that extra space to start a micro business that they can run out of the house. So in a series of very small affordable loans, you had a family who could move towards something that would meet the international standard for very basic housing, as well as have a foundation for keeping their kids healthy.
So how are you taking this program out? What countries are you in? Where are you looking to grow to?
So we are partnering in about 20 countries in Asia, Africa, and Latin America right now. And what we're trying to do is raise funds now to take that to a larger number and actually to take it to a higher scale. But our real goal here is to establish the validity of housing microfinance so that all over the world, microfinance organizations would add a housing portfolio to their existing portfolios.
I want to talk about something that's slightly different. I know that you're very involved in Haiti, and we've also been having a lot of guests in here talking about the ongoing reconstruction of Haiti. And I know it's quite a big project, but I wonder if you could give me an update on where you are.
Well, we are working hard like so many people. It's an incredibly challenging environment between cholera and the election uncertainty, some of the other issues. But there's enormous need. We had a good session yesterday, and the biggest two needs identified were to get the rubble out of Port-au-Prince and housing, because you've still got close to 1 million people living in tents and in camps. And so Habitat is of course, about housing. We started by handing out about 21,000 emergency shelter kits, which were essentially a large kit that involved tools, tarps, materials that would allow a family either to put up their own temporary shelter or begin repairing their own home. We then sent engineers around who did assessments of houses to figure out which houses could be moved back into, which ones could be repaired, and which ones were totally unsafe and needed to be condemned, but at least to speed up families' ability to start moving back in. And then since then, we've been building transitional shelters, which are shelters, if the family doesn't have the right to stay on land, could actually be dismantled and taken with them. If they have the right to stay, can actually be upgraded into permanent housing. So these are small 1- and 2-room houses, but much safer and actually give sort of have a longer lifespan for the families. And now we want to move towards permanent housing. The biggest challenge in Haiti is really the land issues. You've got large population, a lot of complexity over land titling, who owns the land, and so we are working very hard with the government, with other groups to try to be able to formalize or have a system for formalizing land so that we can get these families into homes.
I also wanted to ask you just briefly about your interest in neighborhood revitalization and what that move is about.
This is something that Habitat is doing in response to the financial crisis, and really the housing crisis in the United States. So we traditionally have always done a mix of new homes, repairs, and rehabs. but mostly new homes. And what we saw is these empty and foreclosed homes sitting in cities all across the U.S. were pulling down these neighborhoods. And nothing good happens when these houses sit empty. They physically rot very quickly. They devalue, and then they actually pull down the houses around them. So what we've been doing is, in partnership with the cities, going in, buying up these foreclosed homes, bringing volunteers together, rehabbing them, and putting families back in them, trying to help stabilize. And then around those homes, we're rolling out a program called A Brush with Kindness, where we're doing home preservation, particularly for the elderly, to do light repairs, paint, ceiling, roof repair, to help families stay in, and then weatherproofing other homes to lower the energy costs and, again, make it more affordable for families to stay. And the goal of all of that is to take some of these once strong neighborhoods that have really been hurt by the downturn and start lifting them back up.
Jonathan, thanks very much for coming into the Hub Pavilion here in Davos, and I'm Edie Lush.